Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of the video is Moscow Holds Nuclear Drills. This is from Reuters. It says U.S. sanctions Russian oil companies as Moscow holds nuclear drills. It's posted October 23rd, 2025. Today is October 23rd, 2025. So it's posted about, like you said, updated 4 hours ago, posted about 7 hours ago. Let's play this. So your listeners, I'm ad right here. Just waiting for it to pass.
Waited a long time. I thought that I just felt it was time. We've waited a long time. I thought that we'd go long before the Middle East.
Why do you believe, Mr. President, that the sanctions that you're announcing today will put?
And notice, everyone's talking about the Middle East, what's happening at, to the Middle East. And that's because Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, he's, let me see. Who's going to grab this? Isaiah 13:4, it says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh Bashmiel shall host, muster the host of the battle. And that's because the Most High Yahweh, right, Bahashim Yahweh Shai is visiting this place and he's mustering the host to the battle. He's gathering the nations for war, right, for the controversy of Zion. Let me grab Joel 3. Joel 3:1 says the nations will be judged as the heading there. It says, for behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. And that's what you're seeing now. That's why everyone also is talking about the Israelites, because we are remembering who we are, right, as a people. The Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is bringing us back together. So at the same time of us waking back up, he's also going to what? It says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, right, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and part of my land. So what's being done now in the world is because of the things that has been done to the Israelites throughout time, throughout history. Slavery. Edom had a big part to play in that, right? So the Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is judging these heathen, right, for what they have done to my people. It even goes and explains it further. It says, Joel 3:3, and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boyful and harlot and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. This is talking about slavery, when they sold men and women for different things, to, please themselves. The Valley of Jehoshaphat is talking about what what some people call the Middle East or the Levant, right, or the Fertile Crescent, over there in the land of Jerusalem, right, where the Amalekites are cosplaying to be Israelites, right, which it's been found out that they are not the people, right. It says Yahweh has judged, right. So it's the Lord's judgment that's going to take place over in the Middle East.
Push Putin to the
Well, I don't know that they will. I think that they'll certainly have an impact. They're massive sanctions. It's sanctions on oil. The two biggest oil companies, among the biggest in the world, but they're Russian. They do a lot of oil. And hopefully it'll push, hopefully he'll become reasonable, and hopefully Zelensky will be reasonable too. It takes two to tango, as they say, and we're going to find out.
All right, so Trump put sanctions on Russian oil, and Russia added a military exercise that they say was already pre-planned to happen that day. So it says the United States hit Russia's major oil companies with sanctions on Wednesday and accused the Russians of lack of commitment toward ending the war in Ukraine as Moscow conducted a major training exercise involving nuclear arms. these devils want war, right? Because they also have plans that they want to implement, which is the New World Order, where they issue in a digital system on the world, right? The scriptures say, that they will go to war, right? And to point it out, even when Zelensky first entered into the war with Russia, because of the things that America was doing, Zelensky was trying to do peace with Russia, and then the European leaders stepped in, i.e., America, NATO, Britain, and all of that, right? They stepped in and told him, no, don't do it. Don't make peace. It's because they want war. Revelation 27, it says, and when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. So what happened was the Roman Empire fell, right? And at the fall of the Roman Empire, the Israelites took control. They call it the Dark Ages because they don't want you to know what happened there. Just like they, break the noses of all the statues because they point toward we as a people, the Israelites. Just like Trump now wants to get rid of all the things in the museums regarding slavery and what has been done to Black people because it points to we, the Israelites. It's the same. It's the same reason why they call the Dark Ages Dark Ages because they don't want you to know what happened there. But the Israelites ruled. It's called the Byzantine Empire, right? And that's where all the Russian icons and the different artifacts and all of the images and all of those things that you see around the world, and you wonder like, damn, where did this come from? It came from the Dark Ages, what they call the Dark Ages, when we actually ruled. So Satan was put underfoot, and after 1,000 years, he shall be loose of his prison, right? So the Renaissance is the rebirth. So Edom, right? He came back into power around the 1400s. You have the guy Cristobal Colon sailed to America, right, where the northern tribes, the Israelites were. And all that extra stuff that they have in their history, right? All relates back to the Israelites. Revelation 20:8, it says, and shall go out to deceive the nations. So what he did was went out and deceived the nations to make them believe that he's a morally correct individual, right? But you see now in these last days, as the walls are closing in on him, he's lashing out and his true colors are being shown as the wicked. So, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle. So that's what's happening. The Edom will go to Gog and Magog and gather them to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, right? So this was written in prophecy, and this was always going to happen. This was their plan. You can point to the fact that Putin tried to join NATO many times, and they never allowed him to join NATO. So you can ask yourself, why is that? Because they want war with Russia, right? Gog and Magog relates back to Russia. And you can get that from Ezekiel 38, where it goes in there and tells you that Gog and Magog will come against Israel in America, right, in the last days, because ultimately it was prophesied to happen, and that's what's going to happen. So it says the United States hit Russia's major oil companies with sanctions on Wednesday and accused the Russians of a lack of commitment toward ending the war in Ukraine as Moscow conducted a major training exercise involving nuclear arms, right? Because it's going to be a nuclear war. What is it? Malachi 4 and 1. It says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel shall host, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. And ultimately, America will be burnt up completely, and also Israel will be burnt up completely with nuclear war. Right? These are the instruments of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai. He has allowed these heathen to create these missiles, to use them for these last days. It says the new sanctions were unveiled one day after plans for a summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin fell apart. They were supposed to meet for peace, and they end up not meeting for peace. The scriptures say, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them. So what's upon us is war, right? Destruction, not peace. They're fooling you to think that they want peace. They don't want peace, right? They're trying to implement their new world order, right? Trump told reporters he canceled the meeting because it didn't feel right to me. So they had one meeting where Putin came here to America, and we were supposed to have another meeting, but Trump canceled it because it didn't feel right to him. says, right. So anyway, they talk about a lot about Trump and how he's feeling, me. It says, in a fresh show of force, the Kremlin released videos showing General Valery, uh, you know, head of the general staff, reporting to Putin on the drills. Russia said it fired missiles from ground launchers, submarines, and aircrafts, including intercontinental ballistic weapons capable of striking the United States. And we have, seen their weapons, right? They're saying that no weapon can match the Ocean, one of them, and they're even working on more weapons, right? So the Most High Yahweh Bashmial Shah has turned Putin back, right? Has turned Russia back to allow them to achieve the things that they are achieving now. This is Ezekiel 38:4. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. So this goes back to Isaiah 13, around verse 4, where it says, Yahweh Bashmial Shah mustered the hosts of the battle. And as I pointed out, Putin tried to join NATO so many times. So we know this is the work of the Lord Yahweh, right? Allowing this thing to happen. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shield, all of them handling swords. And it goes on to list the allies of Russia, right, which is Gog and Magog, Persia, Iran, Ethiopia, and Lydia with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer, which is Germany, and all his bands, and the house of Togomar, Turkey, of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. It says, be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So that's why we have things forming, right, like BRICS, right, and people seeking to Russia, for aid and help and all of that. And the power shift is changing. People say America is dying, and it seems, BRICS basically is taking that, filling that hole, right? We understand and know that the kingdom to be set up next is that of the Israelites, right? Pursuant to Daniel. Now I'll grab it real quick. So there's no who's next. The Israelites are next, right? The divine kingdom says Daniel 2:44, and in the days of these kings shall Yahweh of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in peace and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So the kingdom that will stand forever is that of the Israelites. After, Rome, Media, Persia, Greece, all right, Babylon, all these different kingdoms that's mentioned in your history books, once all these kingdoms fulfill their little lot and do what they have to do, and ultimately go to war here in the last days with each other, Yahweh Shah is going to return, right? Pursuant to 2nd Ezra chapter 13, with its angels, and basically finish what's happening over there in the Middle East, or the Levant region, the Fertile Crescent, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, right? And destroy their armies there and set up his kingdom. All right, this is Isaiah 13:6, judgment on the day of the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shai. How ye, for the day of the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shai is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, every man's heart shall melt. They shall be afraid, pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain. Matter of fact, this I didn't want to get this, but I'll get it. And they shall be afraid, pain and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel shall cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. Scripture say, the sinners of my people shall die. And that's all the 2/3 here in Babylon and Great America. Of course, it says, for the stars of heaven and the constellations there shall not give their light, the sun shall be darkened in the going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Once again, just going into nuclear missiles. You can get Joel chapter 2. It goes into the missiles, destroying everything, and all of that. It says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the hardness of the terrible, right? Esau, Edom, right? The most proud, right? The scriptures say his stout was, his look was more stout than his fellows, right? And he also puffed it as enemies, right? The fact that this guy DJ T put sanctions on Russian oil, and all of that, basically just because they can. The scriptures say who frame it mischief by law, right? And unrighteous decrees and things like that. So you have to get into, the fact of, if that's something you look into, like, okay, well, why did the war start and who's to blame and all of that. If you was to look at that, basically Putin said, don't have NATO, don't encroach on my borders basically anymore. And basically because these devils are so proud, they continue to do that. And that's what your analysts and your generals and former generals and things like that, that's what they're saying, right? So it says, Isaiah 13:12, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedges Ophir. Right, yeah, because what? Basically, the Most High Yahweh Bashim Shah has individuals that he's dealing with, right? The prophets and saints, Ophir elect, that he will be with in these last days. Isaiah 65:13 says, his servants shall eat and be merry and, have abundance. But the scriptures talk about famine, pestilence, and all of that. So in a time of trouble and tribulation like that, you want somebody that's has that abundance, right? And laughing, when people around you are dying because you're in a good state, your mind and all that, you're clear. The scriptures say wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, right? So, having that wisdom and that understanding allows you to first and foremost be one, and close with Yahweh Bashim Shai, and also allowed to be preserved and protected in those days if you are of the elect. And many people will want to be around, of course, women will want to be around someone that's very precious and dear to them in a time of trouble, right? It goes to Isaiah 4:1, where it talks about women taking hold of a man. Well, 7 women taking hold of a man, which goes into a complete number. So if you got 500 women can take hold of you, 2 women can take hold of you. But basically, you will be someone sought for and sought after in these last days, right? And even now, the Most High Yahweh Bashim Shah is making that known. The scriptures talk about us getting fame, in these last days because we have the truth, right? And we're standing boldly and proclaiming the things written in the scriptures for the name of Yahweh Bashim Shah, right? It says, Isaiah 13:13, therefore I will shake the heavens and the earth shall remove out of her place, and the wrath of the Lord Yahweh Bashim shall host, and the day of his fierce anger, right? Isaiah 24, goes into the fact that the earth shall roll to and fro like a drunkard down towards the bottom. Look like Isaiah 24, And what's going to cause the earth to roll to and fro? The missiles. Isaiah 24:20, the earth shall roll to and fro like a drunkard and shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgressions thereof shall be heavy upon it, the missiles, and it shall fall and not rise again. Right. Ultimately, this kingdom, right? This current rulership, the governmental body, and all of that. All these kings we brought down, and we, the Israelites, will take the kingdom and possess it forever and ever. Isaiah 13:14, it shall be as a chased roe and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people and flee every one into his own land. People are leaving Babylon. You've seen Ellen, that lady Ellen, she left early. Some people are insiders. They know what's to come. That's why you have different bunkers being bought and built around the world with your elites. The dude that owns Facebook, Meta, Zuckerberg. Let me grab this real quick. Hello? All right. All right. So that's good. That's good. Isaiah 13:15. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through. Everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Your children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished. So all this goes into what? 2 Ezra 15:16, right? Basically, America's enemies coming here, committing damage and destruction. I'll be right back. All right. All right. So ultimately finishing up over here in Isaiah the 13th chapter. So Isaiah 13. And 17. Yeah, 17. Just want to make sure this is 1 through. finish this off. Isaiah 13:17, it says, but yeah, like I was saying right here with Isaiah 13:16, second Edges 15 and 16, goes into the fact that the city shall be troubled, a sedition among men, raiding one another, right, for the lack of bread, right, famines and things like that. And that's also another reason why a man shall be more precious than fine gold, or Yahweh is going to make a man more precious than fine gold, because we're going to have protection, right? We're going to have, abundance of food. We won't be in famine, right? We won't have lack of bread or anything like that. It also goes into the fact that enemies will besiege over here in America, and you even have now where the different alphabet government systems are telling their authorities to be on the lookout for T attacks and things like that, which is interesting. I just seen this actually. It's still here. I don't look like it is. That's fine. But you had it was an immigrant, like an Ishmael immigrant. He just killed 3 super with a truck, 18-wheeler. They said he was on drugs, right? So you have a lot of people from different nations here that's looking to do America harm, right? Unlike those individuals on the Homeland Security's X page where they said that they were looking for ICE when they really weren't. Those individuals that are looking for ICE are here, right? And it's not the so-called black man and woman child, right? It's the other nations. Anyway, Isaiah 13:17, it says, behold, I will stir up the needs against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. That was Trump talking about, we'll make a deal with Russia. We'll make a deal. I'll stop this war in 24 hours, all of that, which he never did. It says, their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. The bows is going to the missiles, right? And they're going to launch that shit. It's going to hit everybody. They don't care if you old, young, boy, girl, dog, animal, building, they don't care. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of Chaldeans' excellency, shall be as when Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah with what? Fire and brimstone. It says, and it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pinch tip there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and statues shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces, right? And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged, right? So the Most High Yahweh Bashmal Shai, as you can see, is stirring things up, all right? And pretty soon, America will be destroyed with nuclear weapons, along with Israel, right? A shalom to the whole elect, which consists of men, women, and children, shalom.